Some people are going to walk with me. Some people are going to be like, huh? Walk with me here. Running hot, running cold. I was running into overload. It was extreme. I took it so high, so low. So low, there was nowhere to go, like a bad dream. Somehow the wires uncrossed. The tables were turned. Never knew I had such a lesson to learn. I'm feeling good from my head to my shoes. Know where I'm going and I know what to do. I tidied up my point of view. I got a new attitude. I'm in control. My worries are few. Because I've got love like I never knew. Ooh, 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 ooh. I got a new attitude. This song was about a new attitude. It was a soundtrack for Eddie Murphy's hit movie back in the day, Beverly Hills Cop, and it launched the solo career almost 40 years ago for this young lady named Patti LaBelle. It was huge. It was a phenomenal success. Got tons of airplay. But believe it or not, it still gets airplay today. Some people know of this song and never even heard of Beverly Hills Cop. They don't know how old it is. One reason I contend that this music is not just music, it is not just staying active because of the musicality of the song, but I believe that this song is still in rotation because there's an underlying message that people subconsciously and unconsciously embrace because people realize that at some point or another we need a new attitude. Y'all keep walking with me. I promise you I'm going somewhere. We need a new attitude. Why? Because attitude is everything. Attitude is everything. Psychologists share that there are 4 basic types of attitudes. It's a positive attitude, one who looks on the bright side. There's a negative attitude, one that always looks on the bad side. There's a neutral attitude that just waits. Don't think about it either way. Just waits to see what's going to happen. But then there's a 4th attitude called a sickened attitude. I want to call that the demonic attitude. This attitude intentionally seeks to destroy everything that's positive. This attitude, this demonic sickened attitude, is the attitude that no matter how good things are, this attitude just tends to just try to just bring you down, tear you down, take the wind out of your sail, just turn your, I remember one time, I think it was actually after my ordination. Now, we don't do this too much anymore, but in ordination back then, it was called a catechism, whereas the church would be filled with people. The pulpit would be filled with pastors and preachers, and they would put a chair right there in the middle, and the preachers would get up and just ask you questions and grill you in front of all of these people. And after that, God, thank the Lord Jesus, I passed. But then everybody was celebrating. Everybody was happy. I was on cloud 9. And this one cat came up to me. Now, I'm feeling good. This one cat came up to me and said, yeah, but be prepared because every time you hit a mountain, you're about to go to a valley. I'm like, for real, bro? You couldn't just call me with that tomorrow, maybe, you know? But there are people who have that sickened type. It may not even be conscious, but a sickened type attitude, whereas they want to just take the joy out of everything. There's a positive attitude. There's a negative attitude, a neutral attitude, a sickened attitude. Well, today I want to introduce a 5th attitude that I think every believer should have. This attitude is an attitude that every believer should embrace. This attitude is an attitude that every believer should strive for. Is anybody ready to learn what this fifth attitude is? If you're ready to learn what the fifth attitude is and you feel like being interactive today, just put in whatever stream you're watching. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. And if you're in the building, the few of us who are in the building, can you just holler back, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Hallelujah. If you're ready, thank you, Holy Spirit. If you're ready to learn about this fifth attitude, here it is. It's called a resurrection attitude. A resurrection attitude. There's a positive, there's a negative, there's a neutral, there's a second, but I'm coming to argue today that every believer should have what I want to call a resurrection attitude. A resurrection attitude is an attitude that does more than simply say it's going to be all right. It's an attitude that's not negative. It is not a neutral attitude just to see what's going to happen. And if a doggone sure, not an attitude that's trying to take the positive and turn it into negative. No, this resurrection attitude is something different. A resurrection attitude is an attitude that does more than simply say it's going to be all right. A resurrection attitude is the attitude that says this, no matter what I'm going through, this is just part of my winning process. A resurrection attitude. I love the teacup story, pretty. A resurrection attitude is an attitude that says, no matter what I'm dealing with, this is just part of my winning process. See, a resurrection attitude is living with the mindset, living with the emotion, which leads to a movement that declares that whatever I'm dealing with won't defeat me, because this is just part of the process to promote me. It says whatever I got a battle, it's just part of the process to build me, to encourage me, to strengthen me, to educate me, to sharpen me, to build me. Oh my God, attitude is everything. Attitude is basically how you looking at what's looking at you. How are you looking at what's looking at you? There was a small study done some time ago. A shoe manufacturer sent 2 sales consultants to a remote country in Asia. After touring the land, both consultants went back to their respective rooms and called back to the headquarters. One consultant said this. He said, boss, I'm going to move my ticket up and fly home, because as I looked around here, this is not a market for us, because these people don't even believe in wearing shoes. So we can't sell any shoes here because they don't believe in wearing shoes. The other consultant was in another room. He called the same boss and said, hey, boss, listen, man, I need to extend my stay here, and I'm gonna need for you to send the biggest cargo ship of shoes you can find. And the boss, curious, said, why? He said, because don't nobody here have shoes, so this is the perfect market for us to start selling some shoes. See, check this thing out. This leads me to my first point. My first point, even on attitude and how to have a resurrection attitude, is this: your attitude is your choice. I choose which attitude that I'm going to have. My attitude is my choice. Woo, my goodness. Walk with me. I promise you we're going to end someplace together. My attitude is my choice. When you get a chance, flip to Numbers chapter 13. When you get a chance, flip to Numbers chapter 13. I'm going to bounce around today. Numbers 13, verse 1 through 3. The context of this story is basically this: the children of Israel, they were freed from enslavement. And now they were prepared to go to the promised land. They were prepared to finally go to that land and capture that land and occupy that land, Brother Chairman, that God had promised them. So they were right at the edge of the land. And God told Moses to send some spies over to spy out the land. He sent one spy from every tribe. So he sent 12 spies over to spy out the land. They went and checked out the land, worship mogul, and then they came back and they said, hey, this land is awesome. This land is great. There's beautiful milk and honey, and they brought some fruit back. They said, man, this land is great. I can imagine the people getting excited, Rev Ron, when they said the land was great. They have been waiting generations for this land. They have been waiting lifetimes for this land. They heard about this land. They said, this land is great. But then all of a sudden, they turned and said, but there are giants in the land. There are big people in the land. These people make us look like little grasshoppers in the land. We cannot conquer them. That's what they saw. That's how they perceived what they saw. 10 of them said that, but 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, said, hold up, wait a minute. Yeah, the land is beautiful. I'm with you on that. I saw that. The land is fruitful. Yep, I'm with you. I saw that. The land looks prosperous. Yep, I'm with you. All that. I even saw the giants like you saw them. Yep, I'm with you, all that. But here's where we differ. They chose to say, yeah, I saw giants, but I just saw some bigger people that's about to fall. I saw some giants, but it didn't make me believe that we couldn't conquer them. See, they saw something differently. They saw the same thing. One of them saw it as a defeat. The other saw it as an opportunity to show what them and God can do. Can I push this thing a little bit further? If you really want a resurrection attitude, an attitude that tells you no matter what you have to go through to get through, that's just part of the process. It's your choice. Can you just holler back, I choose to have a resurrection attitude. I choose to have a resurrection attitude. I choose to have a resurrection attitude. It's my choice. Many times we're blaming God for our situation, and God is blaming us for how we've chosen to look at our situation. Woo, my God. That was heavy, but that was so real. Many times we're upset with God because of what we have to go through, and God is getting upset with us because we've given up going through, because we believe it's what God is doing to us versus what God's trying to do through us. Somebody just holler back, I want a resurrection attitude. Here it is. Attitude is a choice. Attitude is a choice. If we have a bad attitude, it's not our situation's fault. Woo, my goodness. It's how we're looking at it. It's the true essence of what's inside of us. So stinky attitudes come from stinky people. I tickled myself. Are y'all with me? Pleasant attitudes come from pleasant people. Nobody made you roll your eyes and snap off and clap back. You did that because that was your attitude. And stop saying that the devil made me do it. I got to keep going. I wish I could stay there. There was a half glass of water that was placed on the table, and 3 people were asked, what do you see? The optimist said, I see a glass half full. The pessimist said, I see a glass half empty. The homeless man said, I see an answer to prayer. Are y'all walking with me today? It's all about how you look at what's looking at you. Let me keep going. Attitudes. You got to be careful. Man, let me push this a little bit further. You got to be careful about your attitude. That's why you have to be painstakingly sure about what type of attitude you're carrying, because attitudes are contagious. It's contagious. It's contagious. Attitudes are contagious. I need to make sure that I'm working on a resurrection attitude because my attitude is contagious. And let me just work with numbers a little bit further. See, when the spies came back, they said that the giants were too great for them to really be able to destroy. So then the people got mad. Only 10 of them went to see, 12 of them went to see the land. 10 of them came back with a bad report. Now that 10 influenced over 600,000 people saying, man, we should have stayed in enslavement. We should have stayed back there in bondage. Moses, you got us out here foul. You got us out here. We don't know what to do now. We should have stayed right there. Do you see how quickly a bad attitude, oh my goodness, come on y'all, keep walking with me. That attitude is contagious, and the bad attitude, a bad attitude goes faster than a rumor about a preacher. All right, maybe not that fast. Somebody gonna get that on the way to the crib. But a bad attitude, when you got a bad attitude, it runs quickly. A bad attitude seems like it gets oxygen real quickly. A bad attitude. So can I tell you real quickly, in order for us to really give God glory with our attitude, we cannot walk around with a bad attitude, because an attitude is the ultimate communicative disease. It's the one disease millions can catch and they never have to come into contact with you. They don't have to kiss you. They don't have to hug you. They don't have to breathe on you. Can I push this thing a little bit further? Your attitude can penetrate even through your mask, even through your gloves, even through your 6-foot distance. It doesn't matter. Your attitude can go all around the world in a heartbeat. Lord, give me a resurrection attitude so that I won't be guilty of infecting somebody with a bad attitude, with a negative attitude, with a sickened attitude. I don't even want to give people a positive attitude. I want them to have a resurrection attitude. I'm almost where I'm going. Attitudes are choices. Attitudes are contagious, but also attitudes are our currency. My attitude is my currency. Our attitude can cost us or benefit us. Woo! Man, I hope somebody's getting this today. I hope you're writing this down. Our attitude can cost us or benefit us. It can bless us or stress us. It can build up our team or tear that thing down. Our attitudes can open doors or close doors. Back in the day when I was in sales, one of the things that they teach you in sales training is this: you don't have to always try to be the cheapest. Matter of fact, it's not to your advantage to be the cheapest, because a perspective comes with you being the cheapest. You should be someplace in the middle, and if you have to be the premium, here's something that might bless you. People will pay more to do business with people they like. If you walk in the door with a good attitude and confident and you're very likable, that adds a premium. That's just a little sales bonus to all y'all out there got to sell anything. People will pay more to do business with people they like. They told us that our attitude made the difference. When you have an attitude, your attitude is your currency. A bad attitude can cost you more than just money, more than just opportunity, and even more than just progress. But a bad attitude can cost you your life. Okay. I know some of y'all don't believe me. I'm still around numbers in that area. Listen, because they didn't have the courage to have a resurrection type attitude to really go after that thing that God told them to go after. God was upset with them. God told them, listen, because you won't obey me, I'm going to sentence all of you all to the wilderness. And the whole generation of those who had that bad negative, sickened attitude, the whole generation, y'all gonna die in the wilderness. The wilderness experience was a walking funeral procession. Don't miss that now. The wilderness, so many times we want to go from there to Joshua about how the walls of Jericho fell. But do you realize thousands of people died just walking around in the wilderness? The wilderness was a funeral procession to all those who had a bad attitude, died off. Your attitude can cost you your life. I want to push this a little bit further. Somebody saying, well, you know, I ain't going to go until God calls me anyway, so what difference does it make? Can you imagine being alive but dead? Why would you want to be living but not living your purpose? Why would you want to be living but not living your dream? Why would you want to be living and not living the thing that God has called you to do? Why would you want to live a boring existence, a lifeless existence? Why do you want to just exist? You can be breathing but dead. Woo. If I'm talking to anybody right now, just holler back, I'm living and gonna live even better. I'm living and I'm going to live even better. What I'm doing right now is nothing in comparison to where I'm going. I'm living, but I'm going to live even better. I am not going to let society, I am not going to let the enemy, I am not going to let the devil, I am not going to let my fears, I am not going to let my problems, I am not going to let my issues rob me of living my best life. Yeah, I don't know when my last day is, but every day I'm going to have a resurrection attitude because I'm going after this thing. I'm going after it with all I have. Our attitudes are our currency. It costs us or it benefits us. Whew. My goodness. Man, I hope somebody's getting this today. What is our state of mind towards trusting that although it may look challenging, if God says do it, I'm going to do it this way. Attitudes are our choice. Attitudes are contagious. Attitudes are our currency. It costs us see money or it can benefit us. So, Pastor, you talk about this resurrection attitude. What's the deal with this resurrection attitude? How does it differ from a positive attitude, a negative attitude, a neutral attitude, and a sickened attitude? I want to leave you with something. And I'm done. I want to leave you with something. There's a key. There's some secrets. There's a secret sauce to a resurrection attitude. See, a resurrection attitude does not mean we don't experience life's proverbial crucifixions. I know I may have just lost somebody because somebody believed that a resurrection attitude was everything was going to be all rosy. The wording was specific, and the day of preaching the message is specific. It is intentional. In order for there to be a resurrection, there has to be some level of death. Woo! Are y'all walking with me today? See, a resurrection attitude doesn't mean we don't experience life's proverbial crucifixions. But what it does mean is that we don't stay dead. Jesus gives us the key to how to have a resurrection attitude. A warning now. This attitude does not take away the pain of having to wait. I need somebody to get this thing. This attitude does not take away the pain of having to wait. This attitude does not take away the hurt of being disappointed. This attitude does not take away the agony of suffering. This attitude does not take away the question question of not knowing, because even though Jesus was resurrected on Sunday, it didn't deny or make Friday less painful. Even though he was resurrected on Sunday, it didn't make the betrayal of one of his own less painful. Even though he was resurrected on Sunday, it didn't make the unjust trial and the wrongful conviction by an unjust court by another man of color less painful. Even though he was resurrected on Sunday, it didn't make the abuse by the soldiers less painful. It didn't make the spitting on him less demoralizing. It didn't make the beating of him with his scourging, where they whipped him with whips that had metal and bone in him. So when they whipped him, it'll grab his skin, and when they yanked it out, it'll pull out flesh with it. It did not make that less painful. Even though he was resurrected on Sunday, it did not make the spikes in his wrist and spikes in his ankles and crown of thorns on his head less painful. Yes, Jesus was the model of a resurrection attitude. Although it didn't make the cross less painful, it did make the cross more tolerable. Oh, I'm going somewhere. Jesus on Friday, he had to do the guilt and the shame of people, but he did not condemn them. As a matter of fact, if you take a moment and read some of his last sayings, one of the first things he said was, Father, forgive them, because they don't even know what they do. He was like, I want to take care of my mama, make sure my mama and them good. He was like, oh my God, I thirst. He went through 7 major sayings. He never talked about, I'm getting revenge on them, because listen, God knew if God wanted to end this thing, he could have called 1,000 angels from heaven and killed them all with a blink of an eye. But God says, nah, because this is a resurrection attitude. I got to go through it. I've got to go through the pain, because a resurrection attitude says the cross is just the cost for my crown. Can I push this thing and get out of here? A resurrection attitude, it does not make heartache any less heartbreaking, but it does make it tolerable, because it makes it meaningful. One more time, a resurrection attitude can go through the struggle and go through the strain and go through the issue, because it makes God, it makes your crucifixion experience more tolerable, because it's more meaningful. Can I give you some word? And I promise you, I'm out of here. This is really the text that I really want to preach about. Here it is, and I'm done. It says this in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2. Hebrews 12, verse 2. It says, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, for the joy that was set before him endured the despisement and the shame, for the joy that was set before him endured Friday's nails, for the joy that was set before him endured the issues and endured the nails, endured the despisement. And now, after the cross, he set the future in front of him. He set the goal in front of him, and that made what he had to go through more tolerable, because it says, and now he sits at the right hand of God on the throne. Can I bless somebody right now? Sometimes we gotta make sure, we gotta check our attitudes, because sometimes we may have a negative attitude, and sometimes we got a neutral attitude. Sometimes we may have a sickened attitude. Sometimes we may just have a positive attitude. Well, it's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. Can I bless you? Don't get food with a positive attitude, because you need more than a positive attitude. You need a resurrection attitude, because the resurrection attitude says this is just simply the cost for my crown, because I got a crown coming. It gives me more meaning. Oh my God, here it is, and I'm out of here. When I I have a resurrection attitude. That means I'm doing it God's way. I'm doing God's will, and I'm going to expect God's wow. I'm going to back that thing up, slow it down, give it to you one more time. A resurrection attitude gives me the power to keep fighting. A resurrection attitude gives me the power to keep pushing. A resurrection attitude gives me the power to endure haterade, to endure battles, to endure struggles, to endure the weight, to endure and be patient, to endure people lying on you, endure people cheating on you, endure people beating on you, endure wondering what's going to happen, because the Bible says if you do God's will. Jesus knew that he was doing the will of God. He was in the Garden of Gethsemane and he was praying, Lord, will you pass this cup from me? Lord, is there no other way? He was praying to the point where sweat was dripping down like blood. But then he said, but not my will, but your will be done. Why was Jesus able to endure the cross? How was Jesus an example of a resurrection attitude? Because he knew he was doing the will of God, and he knew he was doing it the way of God, because somebody had to die. Somebody had to give their life. Somebody had to shed their blood. He did the will of God. He was doing it the way of God, and it was tolerable because he expected the wow of God. Can somebody right now, if you are walking with me right now, can you give God some praise if you expect the wow of God? Because if you're doing the will of God, doing it the way of God, you can expect the wow of God. Yeah, you gotta be patient, but I can be patient knowing that one glad morning it's gonna be better than all right. God is gonna blow my mind, because God is the one who can do exceedingly abundantly above anything I can ask or think, according to the power that works within me. A resurrection attitude says if I'm doing God's will, if I'm doing God's way, I can expect God's wow. Though they may slay me, yet will I trust him. Though they bring me down, yet will I trust him. Though they beat on me, yet will I trust him. Though I've got to wait, yet will I trust him. Though I may be abused, yet will I trust him. It's just the cost for my crown. Is there anybody who has a resurrection attitude? It will all be worth it. It will all be worth it. Every nail will be worth it. Every lie will be worth it. Every abuse will be worth it. Every treachery will be worth it. Every backstabbing will be worth it. Wherever you are all around the world, I'm asking you to do something. Just text the word better to 313131. If you want to be on Team Jesus through the Growth Gathering and Fellowship, just text the word better to 313131. If you do that, you'll get a text message back, and just click on that link. It'll ask for some information from you, and we'll respond and give you some information. Or you can go to our website, tggfchicago.com, and click the link that says I accept the invitation. Either way, we want you to be on Team Jesus, and we want you to be a part of the Growth Gathering Fellowship Squad, so that we all can grow better together. No matter where you are, all of us can grow better together.